When German pilots first encountered the Hawker Hurricane, they laughed. They said it was clumsy, slow to roll, unable to turn with their Messerschmitt Bf 109. To them it looked like something from the past, a fighter built for a different era. But when the air battle over Britain began in 1940, it wasn't the sleek Spitfire that faced the brunt of the German assault. It was the rugged, humble and utterly reliable Hawker Hurricane. Stay until the end to discover how a plane German pilots mocked as slow and outdated became the single greatest destroyer of enemy aircraft in World War II, and how this so-called obsolete aircraft had destroyed more enemy planes than all other Allied fighters combined. This is the story of how the Hurricane silenced its critics, saved a nation, and became one of the most important aircraft in aviation history. The fighter no one took seriously. In the early 1930s, the British Royal Air Force faced a problem. Its frontline fighters were still biplanes, open cockpit, fabric-covered relics from the First World War. At Hawker Aircraft, designer Sidney Cam proposed a modern alternative. His new design would be a single-wing monoplane, fast and armed with multiple machine guns. But to keep it simple and affordable, Cam used a steel tube frame covered with fabric and light alloy panels. To some in the Air Ministry, it looked like an old-fashioned design. Even when the prototype first flew in 1935, it lacked the futuristic polish of its later rival, the Spitfire. But what the Hurricane had was reliability. It was simple to build, easy to maintain, and tough as nails. The British military approved it for production, but few realised how vital that decision would soon become. The calm before the storm. By the outbreak of World War II in 1939, the RAF had about 500 Hurricanes in service, more than any other fighter type. It could reach speeds of around 340 miles per hour, and with its 8 Browning 303 machine guns, it packed an enormous punch. German pilots, however, were unimpressed. They believed their Messerschmitt Bf 109s were faster, sleeker, and far superior in combat. Reports from the early fighting in France seemed to support that. The Hurricanes took heavy losses, but what the Germans didn't know was that the Hurricane could take damage and keep flying, something their finely tuned 109s couldn't always do. British ground crews could patch up a Hurricane in a single day, even after heavy battle damage. It was built like a tank with wings. The Battle of Britain begins. In July 1940, the German air forces launched their all-out assault on Britain. While the Spitfire earned the headlines, the Hurricane carried the weight of the war. At the start of the battle, 2/3 of all RAF fighters were Hurricanes. While the Spitfires went after the German fighters, Hurricanes were tasked with breaking up the bomber formations. Heinkels, Dorniers and Junkers. It was dangerous, relentless work. But day after day, Hurricanes tore through bomber streams, often coming home riddled with bullet holes, canvas flapping in the wind. By the end of the Battle of Britain, The Hurricane had destroyed 1,593 enemy aircraft, nearly two-thirds of all German losses in the campaign. No other aircraft, Allied or Axis, achieved such a record in a single battle. German pilots, who once called it clumsy, began to fear its sudden, devastating attacks on their bombers. Strength in simplicity. The Hurricane's strength wasn't speed or agility, it was endurance and practicality. It could land on rough grass fields, be repaired with basic tools, and go back into the fight the next morning. Its stable gun platform made it fatally accurate in a dive or while firing head-on. Pilots often said the Hurricane felt like an extension of their body, predictable, forgiving and loyal. Its wide-track landing gear gave it far fewer accidents than the Spitfire. Mechanics loved it because it was simple. Commanders loved it because they could get it back into the air quickly. That's what made the Hurricane the unsung backbone of Britain's defence. Beyond Britain. When the threat of invasion faded, the Hurricane continued its career across the globe. In North Africa, it fought under the scorching sun, strafing tanks and convoys. In the Soviet Union, it fought as part of the Lend-Lease program, supporting Soviet pilots on the Eastern Front. In the Far East, it fought Japanese aircraft, trading speed for firepower and toughness. The aircraft adapted again and again, turning into a fighter-bomber, a night interceptor, and even a maritime strike aircraft. By the end of the war, the Hurricane had served in every major theatre, the overlooked hero. Despite its record, the Hurricane rarely gets the recognition it deserves. It lacked the Spitfire's sleek beauty and photogenic appeal, but it fought more battles, shot down more planes, and saved more lives. It was the unsung soldier of the skies, dependable, rugged, and utterly British. As one RAF veteran said, the Spitfire got the headlines, the Hurricane got the job done. Legacy of the workhorse. By 1944, production of the Hurricane ended, with more than 14,500 built. It had proven that you didn't need elegance to win a war, just strength, reliability, and courage. When you see one flying today at an air show, listen to that deep growl of its Merlin engine, and remember, this was the plane that stood between freedom and defeat. The Germans mocked it, the British built it anyway, and history proved who was right. This is a true World War II story because sometimes it's not always the flashiest piece of technology which turns the tide in battle. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more true World War II stories.